What's going on YouTube? This is Ipsec, and we're going to be doing KnockKnock from Hack the Box, which is another Sherlock, so it's a defensive challenge. So let's just kind of look at the scenario. There is a lot of text here. I'm not going to read the entire thing, but essentially, Forla's the company. They left a server open to the internet. It got hacked, but thankfully, they had a packet capture tool running. So they gave us a PCAP of like 1 to 2 days for us to analyze. And there's a bunch of questions here. Like what ports are open, UTC time, MITRE attack ID. There's a lot of things that we could go. I've summarized a lot of the questions in an Obsidian thing, just like I did in my last video, but I don't like starting with the questions, right? Because if we take this question, for example, what ports did the attacker find open during the enumeration phase? I don't like starting there, just because we'll get into it in a minute, but there's a lot of data in that log. Typically, I don't start looking for recon, right? I like looking for something suspicious and then translating it back over to recon, right? It's just how I generally start things, right? So we're not going to we're going to look over the questions, but we're not going to focus all our searching around the questions. So let's get over into the actual challenge. We have the Obsidian here. I've summarized all the questions, but we really just have this one PCAP file. And I'm probably going to surprise you, but we're not going to open Wireshark once in this whole thing. Hopefully we aren't. I'm doing this kind of live, but I don't like starting at Wireshark. And the whole reason why I don't like starting at Wireshark is when I do these type of challenges, I like to know if the problem scales, right? Typically when I worked in doing defensive work, I didn't just like look at PCAPs. I would more often than not go to Splunk, Elastic, wherever the seam was, do some searches and hunt. And GUI tools don't do that well, right? So we want a way to parse this PCAP into text. So really, the best answer is going to be Zeek. It is formerly known as Bro. And the first time I ever run tools like this, I generally just do it off of Docker because there's a good chance I'm going to screw things up. And if I screw it up in Docker, I can just delete it and re-pull it, right? So let's just do a Docker pull on this image. Exactly one oh, there we go. And we're going to download it. What we're going to do once we get this running is share our directory to this container so we can analyze things. And then hopefully once we do this, it will make a lot more sense why we're doing it in Zeek and not using like Wireshark, right? So to start things off, let's do a Docker run. That's not it. I think it's just Zeek sh. We can do a -it before run. Let's see, Zeek, Docker run, then it. There we go. So before we run it, we want to mount. So I'm going to do a -v for volume, and I'm going to share my current working directory, which is pwd, to /mount. So now when I go into ls/mount, we have our PCAP file, right? And if we wanted to analyze it, let's just do a bash so I have tab autocomplete. We can do a Zeek, and then -r is like recurse into the packet capture, I think. We run it, and let's see. I'm not in mount. There we go. And it's going to give us an error message. Let me just move a little bit. There we go. That still looks good. And whenever it sees these invalid checksums, it's going to discard the packet. So we're actually throwing a lot of data away. I wish there was a good way I can show you this quickly. Let's just do a wc-l star.log. We have 91,000 connections and 15 FTP. Let's add the flag it said, which I think was a -C to ignore checksums. And we're going to rerun it. It doesn't give us that error message anymore, which is good. And then we're going to do the same wc-l and then see the logs, right? And do this again. We have 56 FTP. This was 15 before. So we definitely have more data now. How do we begin this, right? We could look at the questions again and go through it. Like open ports, that's probably going to be, what is it? the connection log. But I don't want to start there. If you're new to Zeek, I would recommend Googling like Zeek Cheat Sheet. If I could type, that would be great. Go over to Google. I think it's going to be on Corelight. Yes, this is a good one. And I would like have this up on your second monitor or print it out. I always had these up on my wall when I did a lot of work looking at these logs, because it's going to tell you all the fields, and then things like the connection state. It's going to break out the connection state so you know everything there, right? And this would easily tell us what ports are open and not, just because we can see the responses of packets. But we're not going to start there. I just wanted to highlight out that cheat sheet if you want to dig more into Zeek on your own. So the cool thing about this is it's just really good at pulling apart everything. So we can do good searches. I always start at just looking at anomalies and going with the small thing first. So like I'm going to look at Kerberos log just to see what it looks like. It's only 10 lines. We don't have apt or less. Let's just do an apt update and install less here. Alternatively, we could like go to our host container and do it all there. I forgot to change my directory to the Sherlocks there. Oh well. We'll just live in this container. Let's see. What are we looking at? Oh, we were doing less on Kerberos. And there's a lot of comments. There's only really one line. And the comments are just so Zeek-Cut can work. There's going to be a unique identifier. If we search this line in any log, it's going to show us the data this went to, right? So if I did a grep on this on stir.log, and then we do a less-S, we can see that unique line was in connection. There is a file related to it. HTTP, Kerberos, weird. So Zeek just thought that Kerberos packet was odd. It looks like maybe it was an HTTP request to a Kerberos thing. I don't know, right? But that's one of the benefits. The really cool thing, though, about Zeek is it makes awk awesome. They have a tool called Zeek-Cut, which you just take the field up top and it'll show you, right? So this is ID originating host. So if I just catted this Kerberos log, piped it over to Zeek-Cut and do id.orig_h, it shows me all the IPs in that log. This one only had one entry. So we're going to kind of skip over the Kerberos log. Let's see. What do I find interesting? Let's look at all the SSL logs. So I'm going to look at X509 and SSL because certificates can be gold mines. So I always just start with a less -S x509.log. And then we look at it. Let's see. We can see Ubuntu, let's encrypt. This is going to be AWS at the compute.internal, AWS. There's nothing really interesting here. We could also, if we wanted to, let's see, there's the fingerprint, certificate version, serial, subject, I think is what is interesting in this one. So we can do Zeek-Cut, certificate subject. That was not it. Let's see. Certificate.subject. That should have pulled it. Let's just do certificate issuer. What is this? Did this work? Oh, I catted Kerberos log. That's it. X509. There we go. So there's nothing really interesting here. Let's move over to the SSL log. And let's see. We can see all the cipher suites. So this could be interesting. We also got, again, IP addresses, how it was like I think that may be the curve. I don't know. Let's see. Server name is going to be interesting, but I want to know something else. Let's see. Let's just go with cipher first. So if we did cat SSL, Zeek-Cut, cipher, that's not exactly what I was looking at. Maybe version. 'Cause, 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 'Cause Let's do sort-u. Only 2 versions. It's not too interesting. Always do less dash capital S. It makes it nice. Let's see, decode error. Nothing too interesting in the logs. I guess let's just go over the server name and see what is here. So we can do server underscore name, sort-u, and nothing too interesting. You may see like self-signed certificates, like any type of default certificate would stand out, but this doesn't look like there's anything fishy in SSL. Let's try SSH. So ssh.log. And let's see. We can see a SSH Golang client. This is somewhat odd. This one is really weird. I'm guessing this is some type of port scanner because it's just a bunch of junk there. We have SSH 1.5. So let's just look at all of these. This is going to be probably the client. So cat SSH, Zeek-Cut client, sort, unique-c, sort-n. So we can see there's one with SSH 1.5 server. Hello world, that's odd. I was looking for like Ruby, things like that would indicate Metasploit, but this is somewhat interesting. Generally, when I would be looking at this, I would think, let's see, we have all these clients. Let's look at any client that uses multiple SSH things, because right off the bat, the SSH1 is interesting because the only thing off the top of my head that uses like SSH1 would be, I think routers still have it by default, like old Cisco routers. If you SSH from them, they may default to 1 first, but I like just doing a check on which IPs are doing that. Is there one IP that sent a lot of SSH clients? Because that is fishy to me. Doesn't mean it's bad because it could just be a lot of clients behind a NAT, right? But this is just things I like looking at first. So we do Zeek-Cut, ID originating host, client. Then we can sort it. And now we can do a, let's see. We do sort-u. Didn't do the -u. So right now we kind of have this pair of IP client. And I just want to get all these IP client and make sure they are all unique. So now when I do a awk on the IP and we do a unique-c and then we sort-n, we see all these IPs only have one SSH client associated with them, which that is not fishy. This one has 4. So this is definitely interesting. And Zeek by default doesn't give you a good way to do this. So if we did ssh.log and then we just grep for this IP, we lose the ability to do a Zeek-Cut, right? If I do ID orig_h, it gives me nothing. And that's because this grep has erased the comments here, right? Because Zeek-Cut needs all these comments to operate. So what we'll do is we'll do a grep and then we'll not pipe, but do -e, say it begins with a comment, or it's this IP. And now when we do it, grep-e, I have a 3. Now it works. So one thing I like doing is creating an alias. So we'll call it zeek-grep. And then we can say grep-e, the same thing we just did, and then -e and end this. So anything we put after this is going to be the IP. So if I now did a zeek-grep and we give it this IP, it just works. So now we have zeek-grep. So we can do ID orig-h client, and we can see it's these clients. I'm guessing this is going to be some type of port scan, right? Or like nmap, mask scan or something, because we did 1.5, 2.0, we didn't send one. We have a bunch of just garbage data. So let's do a grep on this IP and all the connections. And we don't have that much, right? So let's just put a new file. Let's say new file. I'm going to call this SSH. Let's do 10 SSH log. I'm going to copy this. Let's see, where is it? We'll do tail 1. Copy, paste. And then we can just name this SSH unique clients for one IP or something like that. It's a bad title. We probably should have done a tail -5. So we see some that have 2, but this is generally what I would do. And then as I get deeper into the analysis, I'd see if these IPs keep reappearing, because this one definitely is somewhat fishy. Let's take a look at what is next. So we're specifically avoiding connection because that just has so many lines. DNS could be good. I don't think files is as useful as it sounds, mainly because it doesn't give you the file name. There's a lot of hash, zip, whatever, so I don't think that's going to be that useful. FTP is probably good. HTTP is good. Let's start with HTTP, and then we can move over to FTP. So let's see. I'm just looking at the fields. We have IPs, of course. We have the URI, and that's probably going to be interesting. User agent. User agent's here. I hate how like the column isn't always lined up. Password. So I'm going to look for the password first, and then I'm going to look at user agent and then URI. That sounds like a good plan. So let's cat HTTP log, Zeek-Cut, password, sort-u, nothing, username, nothing, user agent, and we get a hit. We have a few user agents. We have Debian, wget, and AWS SDK. So this could explain the Golang SSH client, right? That could just be something in AWS. But let's just do a sort now on user agent. And then I like doing a unique-c and then a sort-n. And we see there's only one wget request. So let's see who that was. So let's just do a zeek-grep on wget. And then we can say, let's see, URI, let's do ID originating host, ID responding host, the URI user agent. And I forgot to say Zeek-Cut. And I got these backwards as ID period like that. I always, for some reason, mix that up. So we see we have a malicious file and wget here. So let's save this and put it in the HTTP log. So let's new file. Let's do 20 HTTP log. Paste this. And what we're going to say is ransomware download wget. And that is probably going to answer what tool was used to download the ransomware. We have a tool right here. So we can put 20 HTTP, and then I'll do a caret, and we can just click that. So now that's linked directly to this. Let's see. The next thing we want, full URL to the ransomware. I'm going to guess it's this. We probably need to get the host name this came from, right? So that could be that. We don't have the IP, so let's do ID responding port. That is port 80, so this is going to be HTTP. I looked at 80 versus 443 because it was 443. We'd get the host name from the SSL log, right? Because we'd see that certificate. So we want to get this server's host name. So what I'm going to do is a grep on this, on all log files. And let's see if we have anything interesting. We have connection, files, and HTTP. I don't think we actually have the host name in this log. We don't. So it's probably going to be, if it wants the IP address, it could be HTTP like that. So the answer is either this or just the URL, right? So let's just put this in 20 HTTP log. And again, we can comment that. So let's see. We got those two. I'm going to rename it to ZZ, showing we have answered it. What was the ransomware? It's a zip file. We're not actually extracting the files yet. We'll get into that in a minute, or probably later in the video. So we can't answer that one. There's a lot of other questions. Let's go to the FTP packets. So let's cat FTP log. Just pipe it over to less first. And let's see. We have some username. So Tony Shepard, Abdullah Yassin. Let's see, URLs. And the password is hidden. We want to be able to unmask this password, right? The reason why it's hidden, because again, we're using Zeek in a command line way. It's also the ability to monitor packets in real time. So you just set up a span port or a mirror port and then point Zeek at that network interface. And it does all this live, puts it into files, and then you can go ingest it into whatever seam you want, right? Or Splunk, Elastic, whatever, and then search through it. You generally don't want to put passwords in that. So that's why by default it is hidden, but we can also unhide it, right? So let's do that. So let's see. I'm going to find/user grep ftp.zeek, I want to say probably. Or we can do grep ftp grep zeek. And we want to edit the actual FTP script, or we could create a new one. I find editing it to be quicker. So protocols main Zeek. We don't have V, so let's install Vim. Yep. And we're probably going to, I'm trying to think. There's two things I want to do. I don't know if I want to show both. I guess we can. So this is going to be the logged commands. We're going to edit this in a minute to log more. Those are guest IDs that are considered anonymous. But I'm going to search this for hidden. And we see there is one that says if the password field is not a guest, which is like anonymous, things like that, then replace password with hidden. We don't want that. So let's comment all this. I should have done a block comment. Oh, well, that's fine. So if I reprocess this with Zeek -C-R, it's going to take a second, and then we're going to look at the FTP log and see valid passwords because it won't be hiding them anymore. The other thing was the logging commands, right? We can see these are the commands that are logged. I want to say pass is a command, P-A-S-S. And since that's not logged, we're not going to log invalid attempts. So if we look at this, we can now see passwords. So I'm guessing Tony Shepard's password is summer 2023. Abdullah Yassin's password is that thing. That is weird that he has the and huad at the end. But now we have passwords. So what we could do is, actually, let's log everything. Let's see. FTP telnet login example. I'm doing the telnet one because this is going to tell me all the commands and what we want to log, right? So they do user and pass. I want to log pass. So I'm going to do comma, pass here. And I'm going to do a wc-l on ftp.log. We have 56 lines currently. Let's do a analysis of Zeek. And we're going to see we'll have more files. And I think there's one thing I've been forgetting to do in Zeek, but we'll get to that later. Wow. We have a lot more. We have 1,134, right? So let's do /s on FTP. And we have a lot of login incorrects. I wonder if I should do like a Zeek recursive grep so we could remove things. Let's see. So we have the alias for that. Zeek-E. Let's see. I don't know what to call this. Zeek v-grep, because we add a -v here. Let's try this. Let's see if this works. So let's do cat FTP log zeek-grep, and then what do we want to put in here? Tony. Do we have invalid passwords for Tony though? Yes, we do. So we're going to do grep on Tony. And we can also say Zeek v-grep to hide things on, where was incorrect? Was it? I'll just do correct. Awesome, that worked. The reason why I did correct is I wasn't sure if it was a capital I, like that, or like that. So I just took a portion of the phrase. So now we can hide grep and show. So Tony's password. So let's add to FTP. Let's go 30 FTP log. And we can say passwords. It's probably incorrect with a capital I. It is not, lowercase I. Okay. So let's get rid of that. And we can say Zeek-Cut, probably username, password. That's not it. /s FTP log. What is it? User and password. I think. Let's do user. Sort-u. No. Cat FTP log. Grep-v. Incorrect. /s. Let's see. User password. Oh shoot. My alias did a recursive grep for the first thing. So the v-grep did not actually work. Let's see. Can we do it like this? We can say grep-e, grep-v like that. So this -v applied to this and was also hiding all those lines, which we don't want. We probably didn't need that at all. Let's see what this does. That's not good. We can just say v-grep. We don't even need a v-grep actually. Let's see. Cat FTP log grep-v incorrect /s. Yeah, because incorrect isn't in any of these fields. So we're fine. That's good. Okay. Zeek-Cut user password sort-u, and we have credentials. So there we go. So one thing we had, if we showed all the incorrect, was just a lot of brute forcing, right? Let's see. Let's just show passwords. Zeek-grep, incorrect. Zeek-Cut. Let's do user password. So we definitely have a lot of password spraying, right? So this is probably going to be one of the MITRE questions. We have 1,075 failed login attempts. So say failed logins. And then the other thing I want to show is going to be the IPs doing this. So we can say ID originating host. And then sort unique-c, sort-n. And we have two hosts that are doing the spray. Unique hosts. So these are definitely our attackers now. We have finally found two attackers, most likely. Let's grep star.log for the 120 IP. And let's see, that's the connection log, FTP log. Let's see. awk-f print 1 sort unique-c. So he appears just in these two lines. Let's create a new thing. IP of interest. And then we save this. And now we want to look at that other guy, the 3109. So let's do the same thing. See how many times this guy goes. He's in a lot more logs. We even got a DNS name for him potentially, or maybe he's making a DNS query. So that's the IP I'm going to start with, just because we have more data on him, right? And we can do the same thing, 3.109.209.43, FTP spray. Okay, so let's look at him in DNS. We could also get his SSH banner, potentially. So let's grep this. And what are we going to say? DNS? Sure, that's fine. Let's just look at DNS log. What do we have? I think he was making a query. Actually, it'll be easier. Let's go to the cheat sheet and show an example of using this. So, DNS log. We don't care about the timestamp that much. UID, ID, query. That's what we want. We want query. So, cat DNS log, zeek-grep, IP, Zeek-Cut, ID, originating host, ID, responding host, and query. So he's just making DNS queries. We don't actually get who he is. Wait. Oh, this is an AWS host. It's an EC2. We have this IP querying the DNS server. This is an internal IP, right? The internal IP is querying the DNS server, most likely for who this guy is. And we're getting the reverse lookup, right? So we know this is an EC2 host. How reverse lookups work is they put the last octet first, right? So the IP goes in reverse for the reverse lookup. So we now know this guy is in AWS. It's an EC2 instance. So that is awesome. Let's see, what else do we want to do? I guess now let's look at the questions. Is it open ports, or what was that question exactly? I guess let's just answer the open ports. I don't know if that was it, but we can answer that. Open ports of what though? I'm going to ignore that question. Let's do UTC time of start of attack. Sometimes summarizing them does make for a painful thing. So I'm going to say, let's analyze connection.log. So we'll cat connection.log, less-s. Let's see, what do we have? Let's just do the originating host and see who's the most chatty. So we can do a Zeek-Cut on ID originating host, wc-l. Whoops. Sort unique-c sort numbers. And this is the most chatty, and it's 65,641. Whenever I see like 65,000, I assume that's a full port scan because there's 65,535 ports. So that's a coincidence, right? So let's look at this guy. Let's do cat connection log. Let's check our port scan theory. So we're going to do a zeek-grep on this IP. And then we can do the Zeek-Cut. I'm going to leave the ID originating host just so we know it. And we do ID originating port. And we can see it. Oh, wait, it's not going to be originating port. That's the ephemeral port, right? We actually want the port on the other end of that connection. And there we have it. This is the port scan. He's scanning 1 through 65,535 sequentially. So what we want is to get the timestamp of this, and that field packet is TS. And we have the very first port starts here. We can just do, let's see, we'll do tail-1. So we have that. Then we do a date-d, and then at the epoch time, whoops, did not mean to hit enter so quick. And we have the time. So this is when the attack began. So I'm going to grab this, do 50 attack, oh, this will be connection log. And we can just paste this in. So there we have that. Let me just clean this up to remove the invalid entry. And UTC time start of attack. Let's just put this here, connection log, do a caret, and we did not label it. So start of attack. There we go. Awesome. So MITRE attack ID of initial access. I'm guessing this was FTP brute force. Right? Because that's what we saw with this password spray. So let's see. MITRE attack ID brute force FTP. This is probably going to be it. Initial, let's do this. FTP brute force. And we can link our FTP in. So 30. Password spray. Okay. Let's say that's done. That's done. Valid credentials for the foothold. I'm I'm going to guess it was the spring one, right? Because we knew it was a password spray. So knowing that the attack starts with the password spray and they were using season year, I'm going to guess this was the initial foothold. This probably would not be in a password spray unless it's credential stuffing, which like they compromise a website or get a database dump, get users and throw the passwords the user had on other websites into it. But I'm going to guess it's summer 2023, just because, again, we know they were doing a password spray. So we do that. Let's, again, link our FTP log. So we know it's there, just in case the question is wrong. We have an idea where we got that from, right? So that's done. Malicious IP initial access. That is that 3109 most likely. So we'll do that again. Let's put this in connection log. We could link a lot of these here, right? We got the start of attack. We got the FTP log of password spray. What else did we see this IP in, right? IP of interest. I can just also link this, right? So 40. We're putting all our evidence against this guy. There we go. I should have been doing that more. Critical service port. Critical service exploit tactic. So I don't know what this one's going to be. AWS creds Abdullah. That could be the password we got in FTP. What was the ransomware? Full path for SSH access. I'm going to have to pull the questions up again, but let's now extract files, right? We haven't done that at all. And there's one thing I have been missing that we may have missed some data. Let's do a wc-l star.log, sort-n. Let's remember 1134 for FTP. So let's see. Let us do a Zeek again. I'm going to add local at the end. And this is probably going to run some more scripts. I really should have done this to begin with, but I forgot to run that last flag. And of course, that's going to miss things, unfortunately. This essentially is going to run local.zeek, which is the default Zeek collection thing that may get more, right? We have like extra things, loaded scripts. So we didn't run all the scripts. There's now a telemetry notice. Do we have LDAP before? There's a software log. So there's more scripts we could look at. We probably, again, should have. But yeah, so like software logs in a log, some software used. We have a wget with one instance there. But that's not the end of the world. There wasn't really that much new things here. Let's see. We wanted to get the files. And I thought about that because let's find local.zeek. And I always say user when it's just USR. Local.zeek. Why did that find more? Oh. Because user local Zeek, the period was a wildcard. So this is going to be the script that runs, right? Let's just do a grep-v for anything that has or starts with a comment. And then grep here on local Zeek, and then grep for a line. So this is the Zeek config. It's telling what scripts to run. And one of the scripts that's running is not going to be a, what is it? Extract files. That's what I was thinking. So we want to find what directory this goes to. It's probably up to and share. Let's just go here. Is there protocols? Find.grep. Let's grep this real quick. Share Zeek. Okay. So share Zeek policy. So just do a find here, grep for extract. And we want to do, let's see, base files, probably policy frameworks, extract all files. So let's run this into our Zeek config. Share Zeek site. CP local, we'll do custom.zeek. And then we can just add that. We need at load. I don't think we do policy. Is it just frameworks? They have a policy there, so I'm going to have a policy here. Okay. Let's go back to mount. Grep-r Zeek. And instead of local, we want custom. So hopefully now we're going to have a extract files directory, and that extract files directory will contain all the files in this capture. So we can then pull that ransomware out. And then once we get the ransomware, I'm probably going to pause the video so I can get back up into my Hack the Box account so I can understand the questions better, because the Cliff Notes did not help me. So there we go. We have a list of all the files. File command not found. Let's do apt install file. That's a painful thing about working this Docker, right? So we have a lot of just metadata of it. What we wanted to do is pull that ransomware file. So that ransomware file came out of HTP log, right? So let's cat HTP log, zeek-grep, we'll do wget, do a less-s, and there is a UID, right? Let's see. We could probably just grab this ID, right? Let's see. ls extract files grep for that. Can't use UID of that line. There's another ID. Original file UIDs. That's probably it. So again, if we did Zeek-Cut orig fuid, what was that? Original file name is blank. FUDs. That's not it. I just want to know what that field is called. It's probably this field, but I do want to know what it was. So file names, nothing. Then MIME type. That MIME type looks fine. Oh, that's response MIME type. So that's the end. So that's response file name. Then response file UID. So the orig, that's probably going to be file uploads. There we go. That's the UID we want. Hopefully, when we look in extract files for this, we have a file. If we do a file against it, we have to go extract files, then this. We can see it's a zip archive. So we could unzip this, which I'm going to guess unzip is not on this container, right? Apt install unzip. I would probably go over to my host and then run unzip, but it doesn't matter. Either way works. Let's see. File's not a zip file or extract files, unzip. Let's see. Let's CP this up1 ransomware.zip. Make dir analysis. Move ransomware. Now, oh my God. Analysis ransomware.zip. Okay. This file is not a zip. What? Do we apt install? Let's try 7-zip. Let's just go to my host. So this is where we put it. Unzip ransomware. It is 100 megs even. So I wonder if extract files had a limit of 100 megs on it. And that's why it did not unzip. Let's see, can we bin walk it? I don't have bin walk on this. But I think we got the answer. Ransomware source, the name is Gonna Cry. Right, so let's see. What was the ransomware? It's Gonna Cry. And this is in the file. And that is, we linked it, the file in 20 HTTP log. Whoops. There we go. So that question is answered. And I'm going to pause the video, put the questions back up so we can see what open ports and this stuff means. Well, this is probably just FTP, file containing config and creds. Let's just start with that. Let's just go with it and see how much we can answer. So let's see, cat FTP. Let's look at all the files. File UID, file size. Where's a name? Let's see. Let's just search for file size and then we can get name. Or go to the cheat sheet. DNS, FTP. Unique file ID, reply message, file size, arg. Arg is probably what we want. Right? Or command. Command and arg. So cat FTP, Zeek-Cut, command. Okay. Arg. There we go. So retrieve. So RETR is what we want. So let's do a zeek-grep on RETR. If I can type. There we go. So we have a few files. We have backup, fetch, archive, task to get done, reminder, pass to BD, shadow. So here we can do FUID and get all the file UIDs. So .backup. Let's cat extract files. And then let's just grab this file. So this is the port knock, I think. Sequence. Okay, so let's see. Let's put this in FTP log. Good files. There we go. So I think that was a port knocking question. We'll just go at the end and input everything. But I think it's what sequence do you have to do to open like the port knock? I think that's it. So let's do --. This was in FTP. And good files. There we go. File containing config and creds. So this doesn't contain that. Let's see. Fetch. What is fetch? We have username and password, SQL. So let's put this here. Let's see. I should create another one of creds. And let's do FTP. There's probably a way to do this better. Like an actual table. I forget how to do a table in Markdown. Let's see. Markdown table. It's probably like proto user password FTP test password. I know it uses these pipes. Let's see, Markdown table. There we go. Awesome. And then we got FTP, Tony, Shepherd, summer 2023, bang. Okay. That's better. I'll call this hint. I don't know a better field for that name. But we have Tony Shepherd, Game of Thrones rocks. So this will be SQL file FTP. Tony Shepherd. And copy this. Okay. So we know the file that was it fetch? Fetch.sh. That contained credentials. Let's see, there's also archive SQL. So let's check this. Grab that. And this is an SQL database. We have Alonzo. I'm guessing this is a key. So what is this table? So we got name, account ID, and password. So name is going to be Alonzo, account ID, password. So nothing there. Here we go. So we can go back to credentials. And this is DB FTP. I probably should just put the file name, right? This was .archive.sql. And there we go. That'd be his password. So we also have archive SQL. So ports to access. So that's probably going to be the open ports one. The ports required to access critical service, right? So what is the fetch? We want to grab this file. So we send these ports. It's going to allow access to this port. What port is that? Let's see. FTP. So these ports allow access. UC time to access critical service. Reject. I am going to guess it's this one. This is when they first logged in. And it's coming from the malicious IP, right? So let's see. Here it is. Date -d. And I'll just say first login Abdullah bad IP. This is maybe password spray? Oh no. They got his password somewhere. Let's see. Where is this password stored? Let's just grep everything for this. Awk. So what I'm doing here is a field separator. And we see, got it from this file. Oh, this is a different file. I thought this was the port knock. Maybe it is. Is that it? Is that what I have been getting? Grep this on FTP log. .backup. So let's see. Valid creds. It's going to be this. See, ports to access. When did the CEO arrive? We're probably going to get some of these questions wrong, just because I've summarized it, and that made it hard. I've not actually done this Sherlocks before, so that's why it's kind of getting confusing when I answer these questions. I don't know what service this is. Deadline hiring devs. Grep-I hire on extract files. We have this file. What just happened there? Okay, that's a Debian binary package. That is not it. It's probably going to be in the FTP log, one of these files. Maybe reminder.txt. Let's grab this file. Or maybe it could be that docx. I was just avoiding the docx because I didn't feel like opening a Word document. Pakistan, task to complete. He has to arrive. There we go. Account with a shell. We saw it past WD. So let's grab this. Grab everything that ends in SH. Don't know which one they're asking for, but there's a few there. Let's see, full path, SSH password. Okay, I'm going to pause the video. Let's start inputting the questions. I just got to log back in to hack the box. Okay, I am now logged in, and the first question is a little bit tougher than I expected. We have to guess or know what ports the attacker found open during their enumeration phase, right? And this can be found, I guess, somewhat easily. This would be a pain to do in Wireshark, I think. So this is where Zeek is going to definitely shine. We know the bad IP is this 31091, right? So let's go to the connection log. So I can cat con log. We can do a zeek-grep on that IP. And then what do we want to see? We probably want to look at the what says reject here, whatever that is, connection state is what we want. So let's do a Zeek-Cut, and we want ID the responding port. I really confused that one. So this is going to show all the ports, and then we want connection state. And SF is probably going to be open. If we went back to, where is it? This cheat sheet, SF means normal, established, and termination. So this is definitely going to be, it was open. And there's a lot of ports here. Because keep in mind, we did a port knock, and once we did a port knock, all the ports got exposed, so we could connect to everything, right? So we want to do everything after the port knock. And we could do it based upon timestamp, right? We could look for when the timestamp happened and then grab everything before that. That's probably the easy way to go about this, because once the port knock happened, a lot of ports started opening, and it is no longer the keyword being enumeration phase, right? But what I could also do is, because we did a full port map, I'm going to do this connection state, and we're going to grep for everything that's rejected, right? Because we scanned ports 1 through 65,535, or at least that's our assumption, and got a rejection notice. This is before we did the port knock. So I'm going to say awk, and we're going to make a big filter, right? I only want to print the second field here. And that's going to be all the ports. Now, the tricky thing is I can't just do, what is it? Like a grep-v on 443, because 45443 would also match. And before I do this awk, or after I do the awk, I guess, I want to do a, let's just do a wc-l. And then we can do sort-u, wc-l. Does that shrink it much? It doesn't. I'm not going to worry about that because that's only like 5 lines. So we want to put quotes and say it starts with and it ends with. So now we have this, and I'm going to call this rejected.log. I'm going to put this in analysis. And we want to get all the accepteds, right? So let's change this for SF. And we no longer need these. And I can just do accepted.log. So if I cat accepted.log, we have a list of all the ports. This may be, let's do sort wcl93. Yeah, so let's just do a sort-u and move T to accepted, because that greatly lowers. So this is all the ports that we connected to successfully, or that malicious IP connected to. Again, port knock opened everything up. So we just want to filter all the ones that we ever saw a reject for coming from it out. So I'm going to do a grep-v-f and rejected.log. And this could take a little bit, but what we'll be left with, hopefully, is just a handful of ports, because we saw a bunch of rejects hitting it, right? So let this finish. I guess we can look at this while it goes. What UTC time did it begin? Let's check our timestamp. Let's see. UTC time. It's probably going to be this. I don't know what format it wants it. That's annoying. It's not the format I have. So day, that's 21. I think March is 5. Shoot, it went away. Year, hour, minute, second. So we can say 2023. I think March is actually 3, right? My brain is just fried right now. 10, 42, 23. Hey, it's correct. Sweet. That was going to be embarrassing if I got that wrong. MITRE ID. Let's go here. We think this is it. Submit. Ooh, that's not it. Wonder what that is. MITRE ID password spray. Could it be not brute force, but a password spray? This is the thing I really hate about MITRE. So many things can be classified multiple ways, right? Hey, it's password spray. So we can also put that in our notes. Okay, that's done. Is our thing done? It is. So 21, 22, 3306. So we have them. So 21, 22. MySQL was open to the world. That is bad. 6379 80 86. Submit. Okay. Valid sent of credentials to get the initial foothold. So that would probably be Tony Shepard, right? So let's go to creds. It's Tony Shepard and then summer 2023, because that was a password spray. So it looks like the attacker did a password spray. They got access to FTP. They started downloading files, and it was all over after that because they had passwords in files, which is somewhat common. What file contains some config data and credentials? Let's see. Do we have a list of files? I don't think I saved that. That was probably FUID if I did that. No. Oh yeah, that is it. I think. Retrieve. There we go. There's probably .backup, I would think. Let's see. What port was the critical service running? Let's see. What port was that? I think we answered this. Task 7. We did not. Let's see. Zeek-Cut. Command, argument, FUID. Let's get id.originating responding port. So it's probably this. It looks like there's two FTPs, and that's probably, yeah. So this is going to be the attacker port, the ephemeral port. And then FTP, it's either a second FTP server or the session just redirected them to this port. So let's try this one. What was the technique name to get to that critical service? Don't know. Let's skip that one real quick. Or actually, let's see, where does this go in logs? That's FTP. We may actually have to open this one up in Wireshark, which I'm going to hate because I want to do this without Wireshark. It's probably like password spraying or a sensitive file, right? Because he downloads fetch.sh, and as soon as he downloads fetch.sh, he logs in as Abdullah, right? Oh, it's probably port knocking. That's it. There we go. So he downloads fetch.sh. This file was the port knock file, right? If we grab this, let's cat extract files this, or this is MySQL. Before that file, let's see. He downloaded .backup. And .backup, this was the one that had port knocking, right? Yeah. So this is the port knock thing. There were creds at the bottom of this. So he got the creds, did the port knock, and then accessed the critical service. The port knock ports, I know I have this in my notes, but since it's right here, let's just put this. Oh, ascending order. Let's see. Just because I can't count or I can't visualize that. Okay, they're all the same number of digits. So it's the 295 like that. Okay. I thought one may have just been like an extra digit long or something. UTC time when the interaction with the previous ports ends. UTC time when interaction. Oh. So we probably want to look at all these ports and get the timestamp. Okay, so let's see. V port knock.log. Let's put these all on separate lines. And again, that's done backwards. And this is so we can just do grep with the file and grep for these three things. So cat connection log. And then we want to do a zeek-grep on the IP. I want to say it was like 3109. Do we have it here? 3109.209.403. Okay. And then we want to say Zeek-Cut on ID. Is it? No. Yeah, I think it's ID responding port. There we go. We also want to grab the timestamp and then grep-f port knock.log. That did not do what I expected it to do. Oh, because it doesn't begin with. Is that a tab or a space? I'm going to hope that's a space. That's not. There we go. Okay, so let's see. UTC timestamp when it ends. So it looks like the port knock actually happens twice. Now, does it want the first one or the second one? See, 29954. So it looks like this is a failed one. It probably, like, the port knock needs to be specific sequentially. And the port knock went 295045. So I'm going to guess the question's answer should be this. And it has to be sequentially, I think, because if it was just you hit these ports in any order, then the full port scan would have triggered the port knock, right? And we wouldn't have got the 65,000 rejects. It would just started magically saying every port is open. So it's got to be this, the last one. Let's see. Day. Let's do 2103 2023. Then 105850. Okay. Valid set of credentials for the critical service. The critical service, that is the second FTP. So let's go to creds. This. So we can grab this. And then paste this. Okay. What time did the attacker gain access to this server? Let's see. We probably had that in our logs, but this is easy enough to get. Let's just do cat FTP, zeek-grep 3.109.209.43. And then, how do you spell the name? Is that good enough? It is. Let's see, login successful. So this is the timestamp. Date-D. So that is 21 March 2023, 11:01, like that. Okay, AWS account ID. I'm just going to go into the notes for this one. This was grabbed from the database backup that we pulled. I think it was .backup. Let's see, the creds. And we have, oh, was it account ID it said? Account ID and password. I don't think it's this. I think the account ID was the digit, right? Yeah, for the developer Abdullah. So we have to go back into that. So is it backup? That's just cat extract files. This, nope. Let's get all the file names again. Let's see, archive.sql. This is the file we want. Cat extract files. Okay. So we want this. And then the password. Submit. Okay. Deadline for hiring new folks. That's probably going to be in this file I did not feel like downloading, this docx. So let's cp extract files star to analysis, call it task.docx, and hope I have OpenOffice installed. If I just do open tasks? Yes, I do. Let's see. deadline. Deadline for hiring new developers. Hire 20 developers, 8/30/2023. 08, 20/08/2023. What? Is it 30? It is. There we go. When was he scheduled to arrive? That was definitely in one of these logs. 8 March 2023. So, wow, it just changed time formats on me. Oh, no, it didn't. Did it? Yeah, no, it did not. 03. Did it? It did. That's weird. Okay. The attacker was performed directory traversal to escape the CH root jail. This caused the attacker to roam around the file system just like a normal user would. What was the username of the other account other than root having been bash? So that was the past WD. We can just pull that again quickly. Past WD. I'm pretty sure I saved this. Yep. Grep bash. So it's either Ubuntu or CyberJunkie. I'm going to guess CyberJunkie, but let's look at the other files real quick just to see if there was another thing we could have done. They did Who Am I? Oh, they downloaded the Who Am I binary. Opt reminders, CPU info. No, so it's probably CyberJunkie. I said that because it ended with E and Ubuntu did not. What is the full path of the file which led to SSH access by the attacker? Full path. Is it Etsy Shadow? It's probably this. What is this file? Opt reminders. Cat. Extracted files. This. A reminder to clean up the GitHub repo. Some sensitive data could have been leaked there. Okay. So we need to get the SSH password. And if we read this, there was a warning that said this Sherlock will contain an element of OS int to complete fully. So I'm guessing, based upon the reminder, we have to go to the GitHub repo. Let's see. So let's say, does GitHub, is it for, how do we spell Forla? Where is it? Forla? Do they have anything? Forla dev. It is loading GitHub. Let's go to code. CyberJunkie is here. So this looks good. If we go to this, is there any password? The passing SSH pass, but have SSH password. There is a history though. Update. Let's just go to, this has comments. There we go. So in the Git history, there was the password. And I wish this was not that common, but you'd be surprised what you find in Git history. So put that password. There we go. Full URL to download the ransomware. And we have that in our notes. And let's see. I was guessing it was the HTTP. Full URL. Okay, what tool? This was wget. So wget 121. And the final question, we assume that was gonna cry based upon the file names in the zip, right? Put this in. And we have completed the Sherlock. So hopefully you guys enjoyed that video. That was a lot longer than I ever expected it to be, but hopefully you enjoyed playing around in Zeek. And once you play around in the Zeek command line long enough, you realize how to do the searches on Elastic or Splunk, and then you can do these type of hunts live, right? You don't have to just get handed a PCAP. It's really nice to be able to do live hunts, put things in a dashboard, things like that. So definitely check out Zeek if you haven't, if you're in this field, but that's going to be the video. Take care, and I'll see you all next time.